Hello, my dear students. Good evening. Welcome to Sankalp Learning Classes. In today's class, we are going to study about the human reproduction. Especially, we are going to study about the male reproductive system and the female reproductive system. In the last class, already we have studied about the different types of the asexual reproduction as well as the male reproductive system, so that we have started. So in today's class we are continuing this part of the chapter. Okay, let us wait 2 minutes for the students. Okay, in the last class we have studied about the male reproductive system, right? So in the male reproductive system we can observe pair of testes. So these are the pair of testes which are present in the sac that is called as a scrotum. The testes are present in the sac that is called as a scrotum, and the scrotum that contains the less temperature than our body temperature, because this will help for the testes to produce the sperms. The less body temperature that is required for the testes to produce the sperms. Because of that reason, the testes are present inside the scrotum. Okay. And one more function of testes, they secrete the hormone that is called as a testosterone. And this testosterone, what is the function of the testosterone here? The function of the testosterone that regulates the formation of sperms, and it also help for the changes in the boys during the puberty. That is the function of the testosterone, very important. So in the exams they will ask what is the function of the testosterone. You should write it regulates the formation of the sperms. So that is the first function, and also changes in the boys during the puberty. The body changes that occurs in the boys during the puberty, that is also by the testosterone hormone. Okay. So after the formation of the sperms, they move in the duct that is called as a vas deferens. Okay. So this the sperms are formed inside the testes and they are carried by the duct that is called as a vas deferens. And this vas deferens that also receives the some secretion from the seminal vesicle and from the prostate gland. Okay, so these are the two glands. They will secrete the some fluid like substance that is received by the this sperms. Okay, so that is received by the sperms which are moving in the duct. So totally the sperm which are carrying inside the vas deferens duct, plus they receive the fluid like substance from the seminal vesicle and prostate gland. So together it is called as a semen. Okay, sperm plus fluid, that is called as a semen. And this vas deferens that also have the this vas deferens that also connect with the ureter. So here this is the opening from this is the structure uh, that carry the urine, right? So that is called as a urethra, and these are the ureter and this is the urethra. And here this urethra and the sperms, urine and the sperms, they are carrying inside the urethra. So that is the common passage for the sperms and urine. Urethra is the common passage for the urine and sperms. So here you can observe this. Okay. And what is the function of this seminal vesicle and the prostate gland? Yes, they secrete the some secretions, right? They secrete the some secretion, and that is called as a that is totally called as a semen, and it makes the sperm transport easier and provides the nutrition. So that is the function of the secretion which is secreted by the glands. It makes the sperm transport easier and provides the nutrition. Okay, so this is about the male reproductive system that we have studied in the last class. Okay, so next topic, that is about the female reproductive system. So here, female reproductive system, it consists of two ovaries. So these are the two ovaries and two oviducts. So these are the oviduct. It is also called as a fallopian tube. Okay, remember the name. It is also called as a oviduct and fallopian tube or fallopian tube. And this is the uterus. So this is the inner layer of the uterus. And this is the cervix and this is the vagina. Okay. So the female reproductive system, that consists of the two ovaries, two oviduct and the one uterus. Two oviducts and the uterus. And female germ cell, that is the egg, are made in the ovaries. Inside the ovary, you can observe here the structure. So this is called as a ovary. Inside the ovary, female germ cell, that is called as a egg, right? So this egg or the ovum, it is also called as a ovum, that is produced inside the ovary. And this the ovaries of the newly born girl contain the immature, thousands of the immature eggs. So each ovary in the newborn baby, that contain the thousands of the immature eggs, and no eggs formed after the birth. Okay. So the eggs, immature eggs, they are formed before the birth only. After the birth, there is no formation of the eggs. And at the puberty, these immature eggs, they start maturing, and one egg will released every month by one of the ovaries. One egg will be released by the uh, in a month. Only one egg will be released from the one of the ovary. So any one of the ovary, that will produce the one egg. So this, just imagine the egg is produced inside the ovary, and this egg will move in the fallopian tube. And here, the fertilization, if the sperm enter inside the female body, the fertilization takes place in the fallopian tube. So just imagine sperms are enter through the vagina and they move in the uterus and they reach the fallopian tube and fertilize with the egg. Okay, so that is how the fertilization takes place in the female body. Then how the fertilization takes place? So as I said, uterus opens into the vagina through the cervix. So you can observe the uterus that opens into the vagina through the cervix. And during the intercourse, during the intercourse, the sperms, during the intercourse, the sperms enter through the vagina. Then they will move into the cervix. This part is called as a cervix. And they enter into the uterus in this region. And they will not stay at the uterus, and they will move to the fallopian tube where the egg is there. So if the egg is released at the same time when the sperm enter in the fallopian tube, the fertilization takes place. Okay. The fertilization takes place and that produce the zygote. The male and female gametes fuse to form the zygote. Okay, just see the pathway of these sperms, how they enter into the female body. Sperms from the vagina travel via uterus, and reach the oviduct, that is also called as a fallopian tube, and meet the egg. Fertilization takes place, and that fertilized structure, that is called as a zygote. Okay, that is the fertilized egg. And that zygote that start to divide. Okay, zygote that start to divide by the mitotic division, and that will form the embryo after the dividing the cells, so that will form the embryo. Okay, and this embryo that will reach the uterus for the implantation. The embryo that will reach the uterus then develop into a fetus. ಏನಾಗ್ತಾ ಇದೆ ನೋಡಿ, just I will take the same diagram. After the fertilization, zygote will be formed. Just imagine this is the zygote, and this zygote that will undergo the division and form the embryo. And this embryo that will get attached into the uterus, this part of the uterus, and this here, the attachment of the zygote in the embryo in the uterus, that is called as a implantation ಅಂತ ಕರೀತಾರೆ. So this will develop into a fetus. ಇದೇನಾಗತ್ತೆ, fetus ಆಗಿ develop ಆಗ್ತಾ ಹೋಗುತ್ತೆ. So that is how the fertilization takes place in the female body, and where it takes place, how the different parts are involved in the fertilization. Okay, and this uterus, so just you have observed the uterus. Okay, so just imagine this is the uterus, and this uterus prepares every month to receive and nurture the embryo. Every month, the ovary releases the egg. In case of the sperm meet the egg and the fertilization occur, then it is ready for the attachment of this embryo. But every month, this uterus get ready for the attachment of the embryo. So how it get ready for the attachment of the embryo? Very important. How the uterus is get ready for the attachment of the embryo. The lining becomes thick and spongy. The inner wall of the uterus that will become thick and spongy. It has the blood supply, rich blood supply to nourish the embryo. Okay. So this is the also one of the important question. How uterus get prepare for to receive the embryo, how the uterus prepares every month to receive the embryo, like that they will ask the question. The lining of the uterus that will become thick and spongy, it has rich supply of the blood to nourish the embryo, like that you should write the answer. Just imagine, every month the fertilization will not occur, right? So that part we will discuss in next. So after the fertilization, when the embryo that will attach in the uterus, so that will develop into embryo. You can observe the embryo development of the fetus inside the uterus, right? So inside the uterus, the development of the fetus takes place, and for the fetus there is a special structure present, so that will be helpful for the different function. So ಈ ಫೀಟಸ್ ಇರುತ್ತೆ ಅಲ್ವಾ, ಈ ಫೀಟಸ್ಸಿಗೆ ಪ್ಲಾಸೆಂಟಾ ಅನ್ನುವಂಥ ಒಂದು ಸ್ಟ್ರಕ್ಚರ್ ಇದೆ. ದಟ್ ಪ್ಲಾಸೆಂಟಾ ಇಸ್ ದ ಸ್ಪೆಷಲ್ ಟೈಪ್ ಆಫ್ ದಿ ಟಿಶ್ಯೂ, ಸೊ ದಟ್ ಈಸ್ ಪ್ರೆಸೆಂಟ್ ಇನ್ ದ ಯೂಟರೈನ್ ವಾಲ್. ಸೊ ದಿಸ್ ಈಸ್ ಪ್ಲಾಸೆಂಟಾ, ಇಲ್ಲಿ ಕಾಣಿಸ್ತಾ ಇದೆ ಅಲ್ವಾ, ಇದು ಯೂಟರಸ್. ಸೊ ಇದೇನಿದು, ದಿಸ್ ಈಸ್ ನಥಿಂಗ್ ಬಟ್ ದ ಯೂಟರಸ್. ಸೊ ಯೂಟರಸ್ ವಾಲ್ಗೆ ಡಿಸ್ಕ್ ಶೇಪ್ ಸ್ಟ್ರಕ್ಚರ್ ಇದೆ ಅಲ್ವಾ. ಸೊ ಹಿಯರ್ ಯು ಕ್ಯಾನ್ ಅಬ್ಸರ್ವ್ ದ ಡಿಸ್ಕ್ ಶೇಪ್ tissues structure that is present in the uterine wall, that is called as a placenta. Very important, placenta, and it connects the fetus to the mother. So ಈಗ mother ಬಾಡಿಗೆ ಮತ್ತೆ fetus ಗೆ ನೋಡಿ, so there is a structure that is called as a umbilical cord through ಏನ್ ಮಾಡುತ್ತೆ ಅದು ಕನೆಕ್ಟ್ ಮಾಡುತ್ತೆ ಅಲ್ವಾ. ಇಲ್ಲಿ ಏನಂತ ಕರಿತೇವೆ, ಕರುಳು ಬಳ್ಳಿ ಅಂತ ಕರಿತೇವೆ ಅಲ್ವಾ, umbilical cord. So through the umbilical cord it connects the mother and the fetus. Mother ಮತ್ತೆ fetus ಗೆ ಇದು ಕನೆಕ್ಟ್ ಮಾಡುತ್ತೆ. and it has the villi, means the finger like projection in the mother side and the fetus side also, that provide the different nutrients and other constituents for the fetus. Okay, ಈಗ ನೋಡಿ ಫೀಟಸ್ ಅಲ್ಲಿ ಫೀಟಸ್ ಡೆವಲಪ್ಮೆಂಟ್ ಈಗ ಯೂಟ್ರಸ್ ಬಂದು ಅಟ್ಯಾಚ್ ಆಗಿದೆ ಏನು ಎಂಬ್ರಿಯೋ, ಅಂಡ್ ದಟ್ ವಿಲ್ ಡೆವಲಪ್ ಇಂಟು ಅ ಫೀಟಸ್. ಈಗ ಡೆವಲಪ್ಮೆಂಟ್ ಆಗ್ತಾ ಇದೆ. ಡೆವಲಪ್ಮೆಂಟ್ ಆಗ್ಲಿಕ್ಕೆ ಇಲ್ಲಿ ಯೂಟ್ರಸ್ ವಾಲ್ ಅಲ್ಲಿ, ಸೊ ದರ್ ಇಸ್ ಎ ಸ್ಪೆಷಲ್ ಸ್ಟ್ರಕ್ಚರ್ ದಟ್ ಈಸ್ ಕಾಲ್ಡ್ ಎಸ್ ಎ ಪ್ಲಸೆಂಟಾ. ಇಲ್ಲಿ ಕಾಣಿಸ್ತಾ ಇದೆ ಅಲ್ವಾ, ಅದನ್ನ ಪ್ಲಾಸೆಂಟಾ ಅಂತ ಕರೀತಾರೆ. ಈ ಪ್ಲಾಸೆಂಟಾ ಏನ್ ಮಾಡುತ್ತೆ, ದಟ್ ಕನೆಕ್ಟ್ಸ್ ದ ಫೀಟಸ್ ಥ್ರೂ ದ ಅಂಬಿಲಿಕಲ್ ಕಾರ್ಡ್. ಇಲ್ಲಿ ಕಾಣಿಸ್ತಾ ಇದೆ ಅಲ್ವಾ, ದಿಸ್ ಇಸ್ ದ ಅಂಬಿಲಿಕಲ್ ಕಾರ್ಡ್. ಥ್ರೂ ದ ಅಂಬಿಲಿಕಲ್ ಕಾರ್ಡ್ ಪ್ಲಸೆಂಟಾ ಅಂಡ್ ಫೀಟಸ್ ಆರ್ ಕನೆಕ್ಟೆಡ್, ಅಂಡ್ ಮದರ್ ಅಂಡ್ ದ ಫೀಟಸ್ ಆಲ್ಸೋ ಕನೆಕ್ಟೆಡ್ ಅಲ್ವಾ. And what is the functions of the placenta? That is one of the important question. Functions of the placenta. What is the function of the placenta? The embryo gets nutrition from the mother's blood, transports of the glucose and oxygen from the mother to the embryo. ಮದರ್ ಇಂದ ಏನಾಗುತ್ತೆ, ಗ್ಲುಕೋಸ್ ಇರ್ಬೋದು. ಆ ಎಂಬ್ರಿಯೋ ಡೆವಲಪ್ಮೆಂಟ್ ಆಗ್ಬೇಕು ಅಲ್ವಾ, ಆ ಡೆವಲಪ್ಮೆಂಟ್ಗೆ ಗ್ಲುಕೋಸ್ ಬೇಕು. ಆ ಗ್ಲುಕೋಸ್ ಇರ್ಬೋದು, ಆಕ್ಸಿಜನ್ ಇರ್ಬೋದು, ಮದರ್ ಇಂದ ಎಂಬ್ರಿಯೋಗೆ ಟ್ರಾನ್ಸ್ಪೋರ್ಟ್ ಮಾಡುತ್ತೆ. ಅಂಡ್ ಸಮ್ ನ್ಯೂಟ್ರಿಯೆಂಟ್ಸ್, ಇಫ್ ಎನಿ ನ್ಯೂಟ್ರಿಯೆಂಟ್ಸ್ ಆರ್ needed, so that is transported to the embryo ಥ್ರೂ ದ ಪ್ಲಸೆಂಟಾ. ಆ ಪ್ಲಸೆಂಟಾ ಏನ್ ಮಾಡುತ್ತೆ, ಮದರ್ ಬ್ಲಡ್ ಅಲ್ಲಿರುವಂತ ನ್ಯೂಟ್ರಿಯೆಂಟ್ಸ್ ಅನ್ನ ಎಂಬ್ರಿಯೋಗೆ ಟ್ರಾನ್ಸ್ಫರ್ ಮಾಡುತ್ತೆ. ಅಂಡ್ ಸಮ್ ಅದರ್ ಆಕ್ಸಿಜನ್, ಗ್ಲುಕೋಸ್, ದಟ್ ಈಸ್ ಆಲ್ಸೋ ಟ್ರಾನ್ಸ್ಪೋರ್ಟೆಡ್. And one more important, it also removes the fetus also produce some nitrogenous waste and some carbon dioxide. Some waste is also produced inside the fetus, and that is also removed by this placenta through the mother's blood. Okay, ಸೊ ಮದರ್ ಬ್ಲಡ್ಗೆ ಅದನ್ನ ಟ್ರಾನ್ಸ್ಪೋರ್ಟ್ ಮಾಡುತ್ತೆ. So like this, the development of the fetus takes place inside the mother body, and after 9 months, the development is up to 9 months in humans, almost 9 months. And after the 9 months, the child is born as a result of the rhythmic contraction of the muscles. There is a contraction of the muscles takes place due to the contraction of the uterus muscles. The expulsion of the baby takes place. The baby is released from the uterus. So like this, the development and the release of the baby takes place through the mother body. Alva. So this is in case of if the fertilization takes place. Fertilization ಆದ್ರೆ ಏನಾಗತ್ತೆ, ಅಲ್ಲಿ ಎಂಬ್ರಿಯೋ ಫಾರ್ಮೇಶನ್ ಆಗತ್ತೆ, ಡೆವಲಪ್ಮೆಂಟ್ ಆಗತ್ತೆ, ಅದು ನ್ಯೂ ಬೇಬಿ ಆಗಿ ಡೆವಲಪ್ ಆಗತ್ತೆ. In case, just imagine, see this concept. So this is the uterus. Okay, this is the uterus. And you can draw the oviduct and ovary, pair of ovaries. So this is the uterus, right? So here, in case fertilization ಆದ್ರೆ ಇದೆಲ್ಲ ಏನಾಗತ್ತೆ, ಡೆವಲಪ್ಮೆಂಟ್ಸ್ ಆಗತ್ತೆ ಅಲ್ವಾ. ಎಗ್ ರಿಲೀಸ್ ಆಯ್ತು, ಸ್ಪರ್ಮ್ ಎಂಟ್ರಿ ಆಯ್ತು, ದೆನ್ ಫರ್ಟಿಲೈಸೇಷನ್ ಆಗಿ ಯೂಟ್ರಸ್ ಅಲ್ಲಿ ಬಂದು ಅಟ್ಯಾಚ್ ಆಗಿ ಡೆವಲಪ್ಮೆಂಟ್ ಆಗಿ ಬೇಬಿ ರಿಲೀಸ್ ಆಗತ್ತೆ ಅಲ್ವಾ. ಇನ್ ಕೇಸ್ ಎವ್ರಿ ಮಂತ್, ಸೊ ಯು ನೋ ದಟ್ ಎವ್ರಿ ಮಂತ್ one ovary that produces the egg, right? So every egg will not fuse with the sperm, so that is not possible, right? So if the egg is not fertilized, so if the egg is not able to fertilize, then what happens? What happens when the egg is not fertilized, right? So that is the question. If the fertilized egg is not if the egg is not fertilized, it lives for 1 day. Just imagine, the egg is produced now, there is no sperm, and this egg is able to live only about 1 day. And then what happens? If the fertilization takes place, then the uterus is ready for the attachment, because it forms the spongy lining and the some blood vessel connection, everything is formed, right? But the lining of the uterus, if the fertilization not takes place, then what happens? The lining of the uterus slowly breaks and comes out through the vagina as a blood and mucus. If the fertilization not occurs, the inner wall of the uterus that breaks down, so that will comes out through the vagina, this inner wall of the uterus that breaks down and comes through the vagina in the form of blood and mucus. And this cyclic process occurring every month is called as a menstruation. So what is menstruation? The inner wall of the inner lining of the uterus that breaks down and comes out through the vagina in the form of blood and mucus. That this cyclic process that occurs every month, so that is called as a menstruation. Very important. What is menstruation? Very important question. So when the menstruation occur, how it occurs, so that is all are the a very important question. ಸೊ ಇದನ್ನ ನೀವು ಸರಿಯಾಗಿ ಓದ್ಕೊಳ್ಬೇಕು. ವೆರಿ ಇಂಪಾರ್ಟೆಂಟ್ ಟಾಪಿಕ್. ಓಕೆ, ಸೊ ದೇ ಮೇ ಆಸ್ಕ್ ದ ಕ್ವಶನ್ ಲೈಕ್ ದಿಸ್: ವಾಟ್ ಹ್ಯಾಪನ್ಸ್ ವೆನ್ ದ egg is not fertilized? When the egg is not fertilized, then you have to explain this concept. And what is menstruation? That is also 1 mark question. Okay, so any doubts? Doubt idya? Any doubts? ಏನಾದ್ರೂ ಡೌಟ್ ಇದೆಯಾ? Okay, then I will move to the next topic: reproductive health. Reproduction is also very important process, and also maintaining the reproductive health is also very important process, right? So if a woman's body and mind should be ready for the sexual act, if woman body is not ready for this, so it may affect adversely. Being pregnant, bringing up children, so if not, her health will be adversely affected. Just imagine if the woman's body and mind should not be ready, it is not ready for that sexual act, then the health of the woman or health of that woman will be adversely affected. So there are some sexually transmitting diseases are there. So through the sexual contact, they will transmit from one person to the another person. So what are these sexually transmitted diseases? So here, gonorrhea, syphilis. Very important, note down this. Gonorrhea, syphilis. So these are the sexually transmitted diseases. Through the sexual contact, they are able to transport, and this is caused by the bacterial infection. Very important. Uh, they will ask the question like this: which of the following is sexually transmitted bacterial infection? Gonorrhea and HIV, then warts. Like that, they will give the option. So sexually transmitted bacterial disease, that is gonorrhea and syphilis. Okay, note down this point. And warts. So warts and HIV AIDS, these are the viral infection. HIV ಅಲ್ವಾ, HIV AIDS ಏನಿದೆ, that is the viral infection that is caused by the virus. And warts ಅಂದ್ರೆ ಗುಳ್ಳೆಗಳಾಗೋದು in the genital area. Okay, warts ಅಂದ್ರೆ genital ಏರಿಯಾದಲ್ಲಿ ಗುಳ್ಳೆಗಳು ಉಂಟಾಗುತ್ತೆ, ಅದನ್ನ warts ಅಂತ ಕರಿತೇವೆ. And this warts and HIV AIDS, these are the viral infection. Okay, so they will ask the question again. Write the name of the disease which is caused by the sexually transmitted disease which is caused by the virus. So what you will write? Warts and HIV AIDS. This may be the 1 mark question. Okay, note down this. And these sexually transmitted diseases, they can be prevented by using the condom for the penis during the sex. By using the condoms, it can be prevented. These sexually transmitted diseases can be prevented. Very important topic. Okay, so these are the very important topic. Then contraceptive methods to avoid the pregnancy. So sometimes the couples, they should have avoid the pregnancy because they are not ready to receive the baby, or many times these couples, they are not ready to have the babies, so they should use the contraceptive methods to avoid the pregnancy, right? So for many reasons, there is a contraceptive methods are used. So what are these contraceptive methods? What is the meaning of the contraceptive methods? Contraceptive methods means the methods which are used to control the birth. So birth control methods, you can in the common word we can say that birth control methods. Okay, birth control methods ಅಂತ ಕರೀತಾರೆ. ಸೊ ಯಾವ್ಯಾವ ಮೆಥಡ್ಸ್ ಇದೆ ಬರ್ತ್ ಅನ್ನ ಕಂಟ್ರೋಲ್ ಮಾಡುವಂತ ಮೆಥಡ್ಸ್ ಅಲ್ವಾ? Here, mechanical methods, mechanical barriers. So what are these mechanical barriers? Prevent the meeting of the sperm and egg by using the condoms or covering the worn in vagina. So ಇಲ್ಲಿ sperm ಮತ್ತೆ egg contact ಅನ್ನ ತಡಿಬೇಕು ಅಲ್ವಾ? So for that condoms are used, that is called as a mechanical barriers. And some oral pills are used. They have the they change the hormonal balance. Oral pills ಅಂದ್ರೆ ಟ್ಯಾಬ್ಲೆಟ್ಸ್ ಅನ್ನ ತೆಗೆದುಕೊಳ್ತಾರೆ. ಆ ಟ್ಯಾಬ್ಲೆಟ್ಸ್ ಏನಾಗಿರುತ್ತೆ ಅಂದ್ರೆ ಹಾರ್ಮೋನ್ ಬ್ಯಾಲೆನ್ಸ್ ಅನ್ನ ಚೇಂಜ್ ಮಾಡುತ್ತೆ ಇನ್ ಅವರ್ ಬಾಡಿ. ಸೊ ದೇ ಚೇಂಜ್ ದ ಹಾರ್ಮೋನ್ ಬ್ಯಾಲೆನ್ಸ್ ಅಂಡ್ ಸೊ ದ ಎಗ್ಸ್ ಆರ್ ನಾಟ್ ರಿಲೀಸ್ಡ್ ಅಂಡ್ ದ ಫರ್ಟಿಲೈಸೇಷನ್ ಡಸ್ ನಾಟ್ ಆಕರ್. ಸೊ ಹಾರ್ಮೋನ್ ಚೇಂಜಸ್ ಅನ್ನ ಮಾಡುತ್ತೆ. ಹಾರ್ಮೋನ್ ಚೇಂಜಸ್ ಮಾಡೋದ್ರಿಂದ ಏನಾಗುತ್ತೆ ಅಂದ್ರೆ ಅಲ್ಲಿ ಎಗ್ ರಿಲೀಸ್ ಆಗದೆ ಇರೋ ತರ ಆಗತ್ತೆ, ಫರ್ಟಿಲೈಸೇಷನ್ ಆಗದೆ ಇರೋ ತರ ಆಗತ್ತೆ. ಸೊ ದೀಸ್ ಓರಲ್ ಪಿಲ್ಸ್ ದೇ ಹ್ಯಾವ್ ದ more side effects and due to the hormonal imbalance. ಹಾರ್ಮೋನಲ್ ಇಂಬ್ಯಾಲೆನ್ಸ್ ಆಗೋದ್ರಿಂದ ಅಲ್ಲಿ ತುಂಬಾ ಸೈಡ್ ಎಫೆಕ್ಟ್ಸ್ ಇರೋ ಚಾನ್ಸಸ್ ಇದೆ ಇನ್ ಕೇಸ್ ಆಫ್ ದಿ ಓರಲ್ ಪಿಲ್ಸ್. ಓಕೆ, then next type of the contraceptive method, that is a loop or copper T. Okay, so copper T, here just see here inside the uterus, the T-shaped copper ವೈರ್ ಈಸ್ ಇನ್ಸರ್ಟೆಡ್. ಕಾಣಿಸ್ತಾ ಇದೆಯಾ? ಇಲ್ಲಿ ಕಾಪರ್ ವೈರ್ ಅನ್ನ ಇನ್ಸರ್ಟ್ ಮಾಡಿರ್ತಾರೆ. ಸೊ ಹಿಯರ್ ದೇ ಆರ್ ಪ್ಲೇಸ್ಡ್ ಇನ್ ದ ಯೂಟ್ರಸ್ ಟು ಪ್ರಿವೆಂಟ್ ದ pregnancy. Copper wires are placed inside the uterus to avoid the pregnancy. ಪ್ರೆಗ್ನೆನ್ಸಿಯನ್ನ ಅವಾಯ್ಡ್ ಮಾಡ್ಲಿಕ್ಕೆ ಇಲ್ಲಿ ಕಾಪರ್ ವೈರ್ಸ್ ಅನ್ನ ಇಟ್ಟಿರ್ತಾರೆ. ಅಂಡ್ ದೇ ಕಾಸ್ ದ ಸೈಡ್ ಎಫೆಕ್ಟ್ಸ್ ಡ್ಯೂ ಟು ದ ಇರಿಟೇಷನ್ ಆಫ್ ದ ಯೂಟ್ರಸ್. ಸೊ ಇಲ್ಲಿ ಇರಿಟೇಷನ್ ಅಥವಾ ಇನ್ಫೆಕ್ಷನ್ಸ್ ಆಗ್ಬಹುದು. ಈ ಎಲ್ಲರಿಗೂ ಇದು ಏನಾಗುತ್ತೆ ಸುಟೇಬಲ್ ಮೆಥಡ್ ಅಲ್ಲ. ಸೊ ದಿಸ್ ಮೇ ಕಾಸ್ ದ ಇನ್ಫೆಕ್ಷನ್ ಆರ್ ಸೈಡ್ ಎಫೆಕ್ಟ್ಸ್ ಫಾರ್ ದಿ ವುಮೆನ್ಸ್. ಓಕೆ, ಸೊ ದಿಸ್ ಇಸ್ ದ copper T which is used as a contraceptive method. And one more type is surgical methods. Means surgically they remove some part and that is able to stop the fertilization. That is used as a contraceptive method. Here, what is surgical method? Fertilization is prevented by blocking the gamete transport. Here in the male, vas difference is blocked to prevent the sperm transport. So here this is male reproductive system and this is the female reproductive system. So ಇಲ್ಲಿ testis in the vas difference ಈ ತರ ರನ್ ಆಗುತ್ತೆ ಅಲ್ವಾ, that is the duct. And here this duct that carries the sperms. So if this vas difference that is cut and tied, so ಇಲ್ಲಿ ಕಟ್ ಮಾಡಿ ಸ್ಪರ್ಮ್ ಟ್ರಾನ್ಸ್ಪೋರ್ಟ್ ಆಗದೆ ಇರೋ ತರ ಮಾಡಿರ್ತಾರೆ. ಸೊ ದಟ್ ಈಸ್ ಆಲ್ಸೋ ಕಾಲ್ಡ್ ಎಸ್ ಎ ವ್ಯಾಸೆಕ್ಟೋಮಿ. ಓಕೆ, ಸೊ ಇಲ್ಲಿ ಈ ವಾಸ್ ಡಿಫ್ರೆನ್ಸ್ ಅನ್ನ ಕಟ್ ಮಾಡಿ ಏನ್ ಮಾಡಿರ್ತಾರೆ, ಇಲ್ಲಿ ಬೈಂಡ್ ಮಾಡಿರ್ತಾರೆ. ಅಂದ್ರೆ ಏನಾಗತ್ತೆ, ಸ್ಪರ್ಮ್ ಏನಾಗೋದಿಲ್ಲ ಕಂಪ್ಲೀಟ್ ಆಗಿ ಇಲ್ಲಿ ಪೇನಿಸ್ಗೆ ಟ್ರಾನ್ಸ್ಫರ್ ಆಗೋದಿಲ್ಲ. ಸೊ ದಿಸ್ ಆಲ್ಸೋ ಪ್ರಿವೆಂಟ್ ದ ಪ್ರೆಗ್ನೆನ್ಸಿ. ಅಂಡ್ ಇನ್ ಫೀಮೇಲ್ಸ್ ಅಲ್ಲಿ ಏನ್ ಮಾಡಿರ್ತಾರೆ, ಪ್ಯಾಲೋಪಿಯನ್ ಟ್ಯೂಬ್ ಇಸ್ ಬ್ಲಾಕ್ಡ್. ಇಲ್ಲಿ ಪ್ಯಾಲೋಪಿಯನ್ ಟ್ಯೂಬ್ ಅನ್ನ ಬ್ಲಾಕ್ ಮಾಡಿರ್ತಾರೆ. ಸೊ ಹಿಯರ್ ಎಗ್ ವಿಲ್ ರಿಲೀಸ್ ಇನ್ ದ ಓವರಿ. ಏನಾಗ್ಬೇಕು, ನೆಕ್ಸ್ಟ್ ಎಗ್ ಇಲ್ಲಿ ಬರುತ್ತೆ, ನೆಕ್ಸ್ಟ್ ಸ್ಪರ್ಮ್ ಏನಾಗ್ಬೇಕು, ಎಗ್ ಜೊತೆ ಫರ್ಟಿಲೈಸೇಷನ್ ಆಗತ್ತೆ ಅಲ್ವಾ. ಬಟ್ ದಿಸ್ ಪ್ಯಾಲೋಪಿಯನ್ ಟ್ಯೂಬ್ ಇಸ್ ಬ್ಲಾಕ್ಡ್ ವೆನ್ so where the sperm and egg that is not able to meet for the fertilization. So this is also called as tubectomy ಅಂತಾನು ಕರೀತಾರೆ. ಈ ತರ ಪ್ಯಾಲೋಪಿಯನ್ ಟ್ಯೂಬ್ ಮತ್ತೆ ವಾಸ್ ಡಿಫ್ರೆನ್ಸ್ ಅನ್ನ ಯೂಸ್ ಮಾಡಿಕೊಂಡು ಸೊ ದೇ ವಿಲ್ ಡು ದ it is used as a contraceptive method for the prevention of the pregnancy. Okay, here the surgical methods have long run safety. So these compared to other methods, these surgical methods are safe, but they cause the infection and other problems if not performed properly. So they also have the side effects, but it that is because of if it is not performed properly, the operation or the surgical method is not performed properly, then it may cause the infection or other problems. Okay, so but it is the most suggested method. So that is the surgical method. Here, surgery can also use to remove the unwanted pregnancy. By using the surgery after the fertilization, after the implantation also, they can remove the unwanted pregnancy, but it is misused for the illegal sex selective abortion. But this type of the abortion is banned because it may be used for the um, some other purpose, for if they detect the sex, so if they come to know if it is unwanted sex, then it may be removed. So ಇಲ್ಲಿ ಏನ್ ಮಾಡ್ತಾ ಇದ್ರು, ಆಫ್ಟರ್ ದ ಪ್ರೆಗ್ನೆನ್ಸಿ ಆದ್ಮೇಲೆ ಏನ್ ಮಾಡ್ತಾ ಇದ್ರು, ಸರ್ಜರಿ ಥ್ರೂ ಅನ್ವಾಂಟೆಡ್ ಪ್ರೆಗ್ನೆನ್ಸಿಯನ್ನ ರಿಮೂವ್ ಮಾಡ್ತಾ ಇದ್ರು, ಬಟ್ ಇಟ್ ಈಸ್ ಇಲ್ಲಿಗಲ್ ನೌ. ಸೊ ಇಲ್ಲಿ ಏನ್ ಮಾಡ್ತಾ ಇದ್ರು, ಬೇಬಿ ಸೆಕ್ಸ್ ಗೊತ್ತಾದ್ಮೇಲೆ ಬಿಫೋರ್, ಸೊ ಕೆಲವು ವರ್ಷಗಳ ಹಿಂದೆ ಇಫ್ ಇಟ್ ಈಸ್ ಎ ಫೀಮೇಲ್ ಅಂತ ಅಂದ್ರೆ ಅದನ್ನ ರಿಮೂವ್ ಮಾಡಿಸ್ತಾ ಇದ್ರು because of their mindset. Okay, so this is illegal now. Detection of the sex is also fetus sex is also illegal, and abortion is also illegal. Okay, so this type of the surgery is prevented now. So because of this reason, because of the sex determination in the fetus, because of that reason, so many female fetus are removed and the female male sex ratio is declined. So ಹಾಗಾಗಿರೋದ್ರಿಂದ ಈ ತರ ಇದನ್ನ ಬ್ಯಾನ್ ಮಾಡಿದ್ದಾರೆ. ಸೊ ಬಿಫೋರ್ ದ ಫಿಮೇಲ್ ಅಂಡ್ ಮೇಲ್ ಸೆಕ್ಸ್ ರೇಷಿಯೋ ಇಸ್ ಡಿಕ್ಲೈನ್. ಸೊ ಈ ತರ ಆಗಿರೋದ್ರಿಂದ ಮೇಲ್ ಮತ್ತೆ ಫಿಮೇಲ್ ಸೆಕ್ಸ್ ರೇಷಿಯೋ ಏನಿದೆ, ಸೊ ಅದು ಕಡಿಮೆ ಆಗಿದೆ ಅಂತ ಹೇಳ್ಬಹುದು. By reproduction, population is increased. The birth and death rate is given in a population determines its size. If the population explosion adversely affect the people's standard of the living. ಸೊ ಬರ್ತ್ ಮತ್ತೆ ಡೆತ್ ರೇಟ್ ಎಷ್ಟಾಗ್ತಾ ಇದೆ ಅಂತ ನೋಡಿದ್ರೆ ಆ ಒಂದು ಎಷ್ಟು ಪಾಪ್ಯುಲೇಷನ್ ಯಾವ ತರ ಗ್ರೋತ್ ಆಗ್ತಾ ಇದೆ ಅಂತ ಗೊತ್ತಾಗತ್ತೆ ಅಲ್ವಾ. ಸೊ ಇಫ್ ಇಟ್ ಇನ್ಕ್ರೀಸಸ್ ವೆರಿ ಫಾಸ್ಟ್ಲಿ, ಪಾಪ್ಯುಲೇಷನ್ ಜಾಸ್ತಿ, ಬರ್ತ್ ರೇಟ್ ಜಾಸ್ತಿ ಇದ್ದು ಡೆತ್ ರೇಟ್ ಕಡಿಮೆ ಇದ್ರೆ, ಸೊ ಇಟ್ ಮೇ ಕಾಸ್ ದ ಪಾಪ್ಯುಲೇಷನ್ ಎಕ್ಸ್ಪ್ಲೋಷನ್ ಆದ್ರೆ ಲಿವಿಂಗ್ ಸ್ಟ್ಯಾಂಡರ್ಡ್ ಕಡಿಮೆ ಆಗತ್ತೆ, ಎಲ್ಲರಿಗೂ ಎಲ್ಲ ಸೋರ್ಸಸ್ ಅವೈಲೇಬಲ್ ಇರೋದಿಲ್ಲ ಅಲ್ವಾ. ಸೊ ದಟ್ ಮೇ ಕಾಸ್ ದ some effects on the standard of the living. Okay, so this is about the reproductive health. So here we complete the chapter how do organism reproduce. Okay, so what we studied in this topic, actually what we studied in this topic, first we studied what is reproduction and types of the reproduction, right? Asexual reproduction, in the asexual reproduction, we have studied about the different types of the asexual reproduction performed in the different organisms like fission. In fission also we have studied examples and types. Fission, then fragmentation. I will write it shortly. Fragmentation, then regeneration, budding, vegetative propagation. These all methods we have studied in the asexual type of the reproduction. After that, we have started about the sexual reproduction. In the sexual reproduction, first we have studied about the sexual reproduction in the flowering plants. In plants, how the reproduction takes place, right? Plants ಅಲ್ಲಿ ಯಾವ ತರ reproduction ಆಗತ್ತೆ, ಸೊ ಫ್ಲವರ್ಸ್ ಅಲ್ಲಿ ಯಾವ ತರ ಮೇಲ್ ಮತ್ತೆ ಫಿಮೇಲ್ reproductive structures ಇರತ್ತೆ. So that we all studied in the sexual reproduction in the flowering plants. After that, human reproduction. Human reproduction. So in the human reproduction, very important, male reproductive system and the female reproductive system. In the female reproductive system, how the uterus is prepared for the uh, fertilization, for the implantation, and what happens if the fertilization not occurs. So these all things we have studied, and how the embryo get nutrients, how the embryo is developed in the uterus. So these all points we have studied in the female reproductive system. So after that, reproductive health and some diseases, how they are transmitted, so by the sexual contact. So these all things we have studied in this chapter. I hope this will be useful for you people. If you have any doubts, you can write down in the comment box, or you can ask in the class, so that I will solve. Okay. So any doubts? Another doubt is, yeah. Okay. Then we will solve some question related to this chapter. The first question is, how does the binary fission differ from the multiple fission? How does binary fission that you observe in the amoeba and leishmania, and multiple fission that you can observe in the plasmodium, but how they differ? So, in the binary fission, what you observe? So, only two daughter cells are formed in the binary fission. In the multiple fission, you can observe on the more than two or many daughter cells are formed in the multiple fission, right? So that binary fission that you can observe in the amoeba as well as in leishmania, and in the multiple fission that you can observe in the plasmodium. Okay, so like that you should write the difference, what is binary fission and what is multiple fission, and examples that you can write. Second question is, how will an organism be benefited if it is reproduced through spores? So, how the organism is benefited if it is using the spores? What is the use of the spores, right? So, here what we can say, huge numbers of spores are produced at a time. Okay. So, distribution of spores are very easy by A to far off places to avoid the competition at one place. So here, how the spore production type of the asexual reproduction is helpful, how it is useful. So here, what we can say, it is produced in the huge numbers at a time, and it is transported by the air, so where the competition is reduced, and spores can store the genetic information for very long time, as they are covered by the thick walls to prevent the dehydration and the unfavorable condition for new ones development. So ಆ ಸ್ಪೋರ್ ಏನಾಗಿದೆ, thick spore wall ಇಂದ ಫಾರ್ಮೇಶನ್ ಆಗಿದೆ ಅಲ್ವಾ. ಸೊ ಫೇವರಬಲ್ ಕಂಡೀಷನ್ ಇದ್ರೆ ಮಾತ್ರ ಅದು ಜರ್ಮಿನೇಟ್ ಆಗುತ್ತೆ, ಅನ್ಫೇವರೇಬಲ್ ಕಂಡೀಷನ್ ಇದ್ರೆ ಅದೇ, ಸೊ ದಟ್ ವಿಲ್ ರಿಮೇನ್ ಡಾರ್ಮೆಂಟ್, ರೈಟ್? So that will preserve the genetic information. So these all are uh, the importance of the spore production. So how spore production reproduction is benefited. Okay. Third question is, why is vegetative propagation is practiced for the growing some types of plants? So why this type of vegetative propagation is used? You know that in the vegetative propagation, they may use the stem cutting or root or leaves. So any part of the plant that is used for the propagation. So how it is benefited for some types of plants? So here, what we can say, the plants that is grown by the vegetative propagation, they will bear the flowers and fruits earlier than those who produced by the seeds. Okay, so the plants which are produced, they are developed by the root, stem, or leaves, the vegetative propagation. They will form the flowers and fruits earlier than the seeds which are produced by the sexual reproduction. And here, some plants, they lost their capacity to produce the seeds, like banana and rose, jasmine. So for this type of orange produces the seeds. So for this type of plants, it will be useful to propagate. So some plants, they lost their capacity for the production, to produce the seeds. So for these plants, it is very useful. And another advantage is, the plants which are produced through this vegetative propagation, they are genetically similar. There is no changes in between the parents and the offsprings, new organisms. They have the same genetic combination. Okay, so these all are the importance of the vegetative propagation. Next question is, why is DNA copying is an essential part of the process of the reproduction? Here, why is DNA copying is the essential part of the process of the reproduction? DNA copying takes place in the reproduction. The copying of the one copy of the DNA, that will become two during the reproduction. Alva? Copying of the DNA. Here, genetic informations are carried by the DNA from the parent generation to the daughter generation. The genetic information that is transferred from parents to the new generation, that is by the DNA. In the reproduction, it is very important to create a DNA copy, and it determines the body design of an individual. It is determining the body design of the individual, the copy of the DNA that determine the body design. The reproducing cells produce the copy of their DNA through the complicated chemical reaction and result in the almost equal two copies of the DNA, two copies of the DNA produced by the different process. And the copying of the DNA always takes place along with the creation of the additional cellular structure, and this process is then followed by the division of the cell to form the two cells. Okay, so when copying, it preserves the genetic character of the genotype of the parents and hence reproduce almost similar looking on and working individuals. So almost similar irate parents ge, but there may be a small changes that may cause the variation. What is the role of the seminal vesicles and prostate gland? What is the role of the seminal vesicle and prostate gland? Seminal vesicles and prostate gland, they secrete the fluid-like secretions. They secrete the fluid-like secretion to the vas deferens. The sperm, they receive the fluid-like secretion from the seminal vesicles and the prostate gland, and these uh, fluid-like substances that will helpful for the sperms. So they will provide the nutrition for the, they will provide the energy for the sperm, and as well as they help for the movement of the sperms in the uh, different pathways, like inside the vagina or inside the penis. Sixth question is, what are the changes seen in girls at the time of the puberty? So we can observe some changes in boys as well as girls in the puberty time, right? So during the puberty, some characteristics which is same in both boys and the girls, but some changes that you can observe in the girls, that may be a growth of the breast, development of the breast region, then darkening of the nipples and menstruation cycle. So these all changes that we can observe in the girls. And there may be a one more question. What are the changes that you can see in the boys during the puberty? So that is the one more question. And what are the changes that you can observe in both girls and boys? Similar changes that you can observe in the girls and boys. ಸೊ ಅದನ್ನು ಕೂಡ ಕ್ವಶನ್ ಕೇಳಬಹುದು. ಬಾಯ್ಸ್ ಅಲ್ಲಿ ಯಾವ ತರ ಚೇಂಜಸ್ ಆಗುತ್ತೆ, ಗರ್ಲ್ಸ್ ಅಲ್ಲಿ ಯಾವ ತರ ಚೇಂಜಸ್ ಆಗುತ್ತೆ, ಗರ್ಲ್ಸ್ ಮತ್ತೆ ಬಾಯ್ಸ್ ಅಲ್ಲಿ ಇರುವಂತ ಕಾಮನ್ ಚೇಂಜಸ್ ಏನು ಅಂತ. ಸೊ ದಟ್ ಈಸ್ ದ dark thick hair growth in the genital area, and oily skin and the pimples formation. These all are the common changes both that you can see in the males and the females. Okay, so itara ella questions anna kelbodu. So here we complete the chapter, that is how do organism reproduce. So in the next class we will discuss some questions related to this chapter. Okay. Yes, if you have any doubts, you can ask in the next class also. Just read the chapter and note down the important points that what I have explained in the class, and you can ask the question in the next class. Okay. Thank you. We'll meet in the next class.